Hello guys, my name is Harry, and welcome to the first ever episode of RuneScape Economics. This is a brand new series I thought of, and basically we're going to be covering all the economics behind RuneScape. And even if you don't really understand economics, or you've never learned about it at school or university or anything like that, I shall make sure these videos are extremely sort of simple to understand, and I'll try not to use any terms that are too confusing. But if I do use a term, I'll explain it, obviously. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing how the lack of rare items in RuneScape 2007 will affect the economy. By the lack of rare items, I mean there will be no party hats, no Santas, no Halloween masks, or things that are worth a huge amount of money purely because they're discontinued. Okay, but before I really crack on, you're going to need to know about inflation. The type of inflation, well, there's three types of inflation, but we're only going to be looking at one. This is called monetary inflation. So let me write that out for you. Hopefully you can read my handwriting. Monetary inflation. This is an inflation when items are worth more because there is an increase in the money supply. So, and this increase in money supply means the worth of items goes up. So up. So because there's an increase in the money supply and this is worth items go up. If we put this in the context of real life, this would happen if a bank in real life, let's say in Britain, the central bank or whatever it's called, the Bank of England, prints more pound coins or however they are made and prints more £20 notes, for example, and then hands those out to the streets and gives them to the public, and if somehow they sort of circulate the printed cash, because there's an increase in the money supply, items are worth more. Alright, so now you may be thinking, why are they worth more? So let me quickly change the font color. Let's go for red, it's nice and easy to see. So let's say in our first scenario, you have, let's say this is one note. Now you have two notes, now you have three notes. Okay, and then in the economy, there's three items you can buy. You can buy one tennis ball, another tennis ball, and another tennis ball. If this were the case, people would pay one note per item they want to buy. However, if a bank then released extra cash, so maybe now they released another one and another one and another one, now people are still going to want to have these balls. People still want balls, as most people do. So, because people want the balls, but this time, each person is now, they're going to have like £2 each, two units of cash. So, they'll be happy to spend 2 per ball, because how come they'd still just spend 1? Because then we'll have 1 coin, but what's the use of a coin if it can't be spent on anything? This is presuming in the economy you can only buy this one particular item. Obviously it'd be more complicated. But people would be spending their 2 things on the balls. Okay, so as you can see in that case, now, so the worth of ball has increased by 1, because it's now worth 2. Okay, so how is this applied to RuneScape? So if we look at RuneScape in let's take, what shall we do? Okay, so basically, now, let's apply this to RuneScape 2007, and cash. Okay, at the moment, we can't talk about the economy at the moment because it's fresh, and it's going to take a long time to form and settle, and prices to equal out. So, ignore how the economy is working at the moment, because we're talking in the long term here. In the long term, people will have a heap of cash. People will want to save cash, and people always like to have a cash stack, but people always like to have actual items as well. So some people prefer to have a massive cash stack, some people would prefer to have a rune plate body or whatever. So let's say, and this can be worked out by this is okay, change font color here. So the APC is the average propensity to consume. So the amount of people, the amount people spend of their cash stack on items is the APC, and then then the APS is the amount they want to save in their cash stack. For me personally, I would say about 40% of the cash I have, 40% of the cash I have I like to keep in a cash stack, and 60% I like to spend on physical goods. But obviously this varies person to person, so it can't really be judged totally. And so we're going to be looking at the APC Invest Economics lesson. So with the APC, because people over time will have massive cash stacks, and they're going to be wanting to spend their cash. So let's say they've got 100 mil, for example. That's a lot, but don't forget we're talking long term. 100 mil. Normally, in the past, in actual 2007, people are like, alright, I'm going to save this up for a party hat. Yeah, so they have 100 mil, they're saving up for a party hat. And because they're working so hard towards this goal of 100 mil to get their party hat, but of course they're going to need like proper items like a rune plate. This is a rune plate, very badly drawn, but that's a rune plate. So and they're still going to need rune plates. They're like, oh well, I do need one, but I do mainly want a party hat, so I'll spare, I don't know, 50k to a rune plate. So then they pay 50k for a rune plate. So then they buy a rune plate, but of course they eventually also buy their P hat, which they want to get. But because however, in 2007 Scape that we're playing, they will still be reaching this sort of cash level. People will be reaching 100 mils of cash. And this time, because the P hat, let me change colour pen quickly, the P hat, in this case, will not be here. The P hat is simply not here. And because it's not here, people have 100 mil, but they're still going to need this kind of stuff, like rune plate. They're like, you know what, I've got 100 mil, I don't need to, I can pay more than 50k. They can afford to pay more than 50k. And then, because people who sell the rune plates will know people have this kind of cash, rather than the simple 50k, they'd be willing to say, you know what, I'm going to sell my rune plate for 1 mil. And then people will be like, you know, I've got this much, I can afford it. And because rune plate, whips, all the sort of best items, because they're the new best items in the game, they're the most desirable items. Of course, the supply will be higher for them, the much higher supply, but so will the demand. So obviously this might get confusing, I don't have time to explain this, but let's say that indicates supply and that's to indicate demand. In RuneScape 2007, let's in the sort of first edition, so let's say first, because that's back in actual 2007. That's what the demand was, and these days, now in the second edition, demand will be much higher because obviously people can't get P hats, so they might as well buy rune plates, whips, all the best items, and obviously people will be working towards to trying to get even more of them because they know they're worthwhile. So the supply will shift out. So supply goes out, demand goes out. So that's S2, and down here, this is the price level. So the price level will go from here to here. The price level will actually increase. I've drawn this slightly wrong, but the price level will go up. So now, if I were you, I would expect, because of the lack of P hats and the like, the price of rune plates and so on, and whips and all the best items will increase. Thanks for watching. Feel free to discuss this in the comments and your views on what would happen, because obviously there's economics isn't a science. There's also social aspects, so people may do it differently. People may refuse to pay more than they used to pay. We don't know, because it's social. But I'd be interested to see your views, so please feel free to leave them in the comments. Hopefully this video